Hi everyone, welcome to our next session. My name is Daniel Simpson. I'm a core member of the blockchain practice at EPAM Systems and a member of the blockchain professionals community, and I'll be your moderator for this session. Hope you're enjoying some of the great talks so far today. For this session, we shift our attention to hardware for cyberpunks, where we'll explore how physical tools and devices are shaping the future of Web3 privacy and sovereignty. Before I hand over to Vadim, I'd like to remind everyone that you can leave any questions or discussion points for our speaker on the YouTube chat, and we'll get to them towards the end of the session after Vadim's presentation. If you do ask a question on our Q&A, there is some extra value in doing that on this talk today, but I'll let our speaker explain that a bit more in a second. And with that said, Vadim, I'd like to hand over to you. Maybe you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yes, sure. I hope we live. I unfortunately only see the screen, but anyway. Hello everyone. My name is Vadim. I'm one of the core members of Robonomics Network project, and today I will be having a speech about hardware for cyberpunks. Before we start, what Daniel mentioned is I ask you to be engaged. I will have a Q&A session for like at least 10, 15, maybe even 20 minutes in the end of my presentation. And for anyone who will be asking questions or who will be engaged in the discussion, I will give away a few coupons in our online e-commerce shop to purchase one of the devices that I will be covering today. So hopefully you will join my presentation and prepare your questions. So we'll see. Before I start my main speech, before I start explaining about hardware and stuff and how we get there, I would like you to participate in a small survey prepared for everyone. So please, who is watching me now, please scan the QR code. You will be joined this online survey. And the first question is, what operating system do you use on a daily basis? So I would like everyone to join the poll. Yes, great. You will see the question, you will see the options. So let's wait until some results will appear here. They will appear immediately. So you can change, of course, your answer, but think it through. Okay. It's a battle between Linux and macOS. Let's agree to have 2 minutes for the question. I will have 2 more questions, so let's not wait for long. Now Linux lost. And 1 more minute. Take your smartphones, scan QR code. Let's have some warm-up. Okay, 13 participants so far. And macOS is more than a half. So I think it's 7 people uses macOS. And finish. Okay, it's understandable. It's what I usually see. So, okay, the last one. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Thank you for everyone who participated. Stay on the same page. on your smartphones. And now I would like to know, do you have or did you ever have a robot vacuumer? Do you use it? I'm not going to ask you, are you satisfied with it or not? I'm just, I would like to get an idea of how many participants. Wow, so far it's everyone has a robot vacuum. No. Right after I spoke about it. For anyone who missed the first question, you can still join if you want. So don't be afraid to join in the poll. It's totally anonymous. I'm not gonna see any your names or results except of what we see on the screen. Okay, so most of the people has a robot vacuumer or ever had. It's the same 14 people. So I believe we can move on to the next. Oh no, one more. Another one. Great. I will give you 1 more minute. Okay. I think we can finish at this point. But before we move on to the last question from my poll, if anyone still wants to join, please, it's the right time to join because the last question will be the most valuable for me. So as we can see, most of the people use robot vacuumer. It's great to see. But how many subscriptions do you have? By subscription, I mean not utility bills. I mean digital services you use, like online cinemas or online banking or cloud services or anything digital, any digital product you have with a subscription. Please count it and choose your option. Okay. Okay. So far, the most interesting part is everyone has at least one subscription to any service. So there are no people with no subscription. Most of the people have 3 to 5 subscriptions so far. It's about the number I have. Maybe I have a little bit more if I count some extra duties I have. But yeah, personally, I would choose 3 to 5 myself. All right, 1 more minute, and we move to the presentation. I remember there were 16 people. Yeah, now it's 15. Come on, the last one. Is it gonna be 16? All right, we can stop. We can stop here. So far, This question, as I mentioned before, is the most valuable for me. And as I thought, most of the people have at least one subscription or a couple. In our poll, in our survey, we see 3 to 5, the most rated option, but there are no people with no subscription. So we already live in this world where subscriptions all around us. Okay, thank you everyone for participating. Before I move to the next slide, it's just a small warning. It could be shocking for someone, but if you have children or someone sensitive, please remove them from the screen for one slide, only for one slide. Okay, thank you. I'm moving on. And here we are. I expect many people are familiar with Black Mirror TV shows, right? Here I'm presenting you a picture and a frame from the very first episode of Black Mirror. It was released in 2011. It's been almost 15 years since the first episode. And for anyone who is not into Black Mirror, who doesn't know what this episode was, it's about the mayor who was threatened, who his daughter was taken from him, and he was forced to do let's say an unpleasant thing, what you can see on the screen. He was forced to do this, but not by a threatener, but rather by a society. And it happened because in a world where we have open social medias that are not controlled by governments, you can no longer control where information goes and how it spreads. It can spread in minutes within a city, within a country, or even within the world. And that's what happened to this mayor. He maybe he didn't, he underestimated the value of the social medias and the power behind it. And I must tell you that 15 years ago, when this episode was released, and Black Mirror is a sci-fi TV show, this "fi" means fictions. That means that by that time, it was rather a fictionary image rather than a reality. But now all of us understand that we live in a world where there is Twitter, there is YouTube, LinkedIn, etc. We see how politicians they share their ideas, thoughts, their decisions in social media, and it spreads really quickly. And by the power of people who sits behind those accounts, you cannot longer like control where it goes, how it will happen. Now, again, since it's been 15 years, now it's not that shocking for us. But that time, by 2011, it was rather a fictionary image. Moving on to one of my favorite episode of Black Mirror. Again, it's the first episode, but from season 3. It was released 5 years later, and it's about a society where people has a social rating, and after each interaction with the people, with the cafeteria, with whatever, you can rate the people and give him 1 to 5 star. The same those people will do to you, and everybody can see the rating of the people you're interacting with. Sounds familiar, right? Again, 10 years ago, it was rather fictionary image, but now we already have some places in our world where it's a reality. And even for us who live in Europe, in USA, or other countries, we can imagine it. Let's say it's not that it still might be in near future, but we can think of social rating as being a part of our life. We even now when we meet the people, when we meet a person, we can easily check his Twitter account. We can see how many subscribers, followers he or she has. We can go to LinkedIn and see how many other connections with people he has. So I would like the idea of showing you those episodes is to get you the idea that even now it's not the future anymore. This episode that was released 10 years ago, it's more or less becoming our reality. And moving to the next slide, I would like to speak with you. It's going to be the last one, I promise, with Black Mirror. It's the first episode of the very last season that was released earlier this year. And it's about a woman who got an implant in her brain that helped her with cognitive functions or being a normal person, basically. Because of her disease, she got replaced a part of her brain with an implant. But in order for the implant to operate properly, she must pay subscription. And the trick is, over time, she became more like a Windows Vista. She was freezing, she was sleeping a lot, and when she get to a doctor to get an explanation, all she got was, you were on a previous basic subscription plan. Now we have a subscription pro, subscription plus, or whatever. It costs more, but it's gonna provide you all functionality. You're gonna feel better. It's gonna work for you. And this might be a kind of scary situation, or it could be a funny situation and you can laugh at it right now. But I showed you two previous slides, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, now it's reality. How much time do you need it will be when this episode with the subscriptions or something that really affects us as a human beings, when it becomes a reality? Do you think it's going to be in 10 years? Maybe. In my opinion, it could become reality much sooner, like in a few years, maybe in 5 years. So I wanted to show you, to make you think of the topic that I will be explaining today, of how big corporations and how this subscription based model becomes a part of our life. And in most of the time, it's heartless. It's like you can do whatever you want. It's if you subscribed to an online cinema, let's say, and the prices went up, you can cancel the subscription. It won't affect you as a human being. But what if we will need a subscription for our eyes? What if we will have a subscription for something that we rely on? And all of us should understand that the train that we sit on goes to something, maybe something similar that was shown in this episode. So I'm not gonna like scare you. It's just the episode had, in my opinion, the right timing, be released in 2025, where everyone has subscription at least for something. But what if we continue using this model more and more? And here we are. We in Urbanomics, we don't want to fight those corporations. We don't want to like ban a subscription, but we would like to have an option for end users to be tied up to a central server, to a big corporation, or to choose a more privacy-focused way, and still using all the benefits we have in our modern world. We have modern devices, software and services, but without this mentality of having subscription for everyone. So here I will explain you briefly about what Urbanomics is. Then I will show you a few of our hardware, and I will tell you a bit about what we are going to do in the near future. So let's get started. First, Urbanomics. Urbanomics is an open source platform for IoT and smart devices. It's a decentralized platform. We started to work on Urbanomics back in 2017. It's been a long year now. And the first implementation of Robonomics was on Ethereum network. By that time, Ethereum had just launched, and we created a few smart contracts that were able to operate for robots to control their telemetry or to send commands to the robots via a blockchain. After a few years, we saw a substrate framework, which was used to create Kusama and Polkadot networks. And we started investigating this product. We started investigating the tools. So then in a few years, we acquired Kusama parachain. Now it's called Rollups, but whatever. We connected to Kusama network in 2021. Then last year, we were happy to connect to Polkadot. We treat it as a Kusama in Polkadot. So Kusama is canary-based network with lower fees, with some experimental features. But in some views, it's not treated as a real network. It is, but anyway. And Polkadot is like a production release of the same functionality, more stable. I treat it like Ubuntu and Debian, who understands the reference. Since launch, it's been over 5 million transactions or extrinsics, as they're called in Polkadot ecosystem. And thanks to open source community, we can support most of the smart devices. Most of the devices could be connected to Robonomics network. One could answer, what could question me, why do we need Web3 here? What is it for? Well, the most obvious answers would be there is no single point of failure. We all know this. Even if one server goes down, there are many nodes that support the network, and you don't rely on corporate services that could be shut off immediately by a decision from somewhere. It doesn't happen in the decentralized networks. You can significantly decrease the amount of money you need to spend on a service you are building on. So if it's gonna be cloud server, you will need to do many things, and they will charge you a lot. Comparing to the distributed system, our fees are much less. And for me, as for engineer, it's always fun to connect something new to blockchain and to see how to interact it in a new way, in a new paradigm. All right. So where we are at Robonomics. If we speak about smart devices and IoT world, smart homes or robots, whatever, I would call it like a IoT pie, which consists of 3 layers. The first one is physical, then connectivity level, and the cloud level. On the Web3 level, cloud, that's how we call Robonomics, because it's much convenient and easy to remember to call it as the cloud, because it provides the same functionality as the cloud network, but it's Web3, so it means it's distributed over the nodes. And for this part of our pie, we finished our work. The Robonomics network as a platform is launched and fully operational 24/7. Then for devices such as sensors, for lower power devices that cannot easily interact with internet, they cannot send requests or transactions in the network. Usually there are some edge devices or servers, we call them connectivity servers, that gather the data from a bunch of sensors, encrypt them, and store them in the blockchain. Additionally, they can replicate this data for some other nodes. But it's meant for devices that cannot speak directly to Web3 cloud. And this layer, physical layer, is where we are now at Robonomics. So after completing 2 layers of the pie, now we are ready to design and produce our own stuff that is not tied up to big corporates, that are not tied up to central service providers, that are not linked to any cloud providers at all. And they are designed in open source and privacy in mind. So let's see what we can. Before, by the way, before we continue to the device, before we move on to the devices, I know I asked you about subscriptions, and I already said that it's not the way we would like to live in. And now you can see subscription-based blockchain usage. I will explain. There is a reason for this. There is actually subscription, and we implemented it in our platform, but it's based on a blockchain. So since we're on a blockchain conference, everyone understands that to send a transaction, you mean you must pay some transaction fee. Usually you pay it in the native tokens, but there are some options. We went further and we decided, okay, for our users who happily will come from some big cloud providers, they're used to subscription-based model, right? They usually link a card and is charged automatically every month. In the blockchain world, you must maintain your balance on your own because you pay a fee every time you send a transaction. But what if we can create some kind of a token that could give you a month of free transactions without any fees in the blockchain? You can store any telemetry, you can send commands, you can create a digital twin there, but without paying fee for every single transaction. That's what we implemented in our platform, and we call it Robonomics Web Services. So there is a token, a subscription token, which allows you to send transactions without any fees. Later, maybe after the conference, if anyone is interested, I can show you some accounts that has zero token balance, but thousands of hundreds of transactions, and it happened because we implemented this this feature. So the in terms of functionality, it's pretty basic. So you can store any data there. You can encrypt the data, or you can store it as plain text. You can store the IPFS hash or whatever you want. You can create some kind of event, a launch command that we called. It's meant for launching some service in the real world. For example, to turn something on and off, or to give some commands to your robot, or to put your lights on, whatever you want. And you can create a digital shadow, digital twin in the blockchain, in the structure where you can store different, let's say, leaves of your tree of a real physical system. That's the basic functionality that Robonomics provides. Now, moving to the hardware of Cyberpunks for the hardware that we produced, we designed. Before I explain about the devices, there might be a question why it happened now. Why in 2025, only in 2025, you speak about hardware and producing the hardware? Could it be done earlier? Could it be done like 10 years ago? No. I mean, there are a lot of people who could DIY its own device. They could, I don't know, solder it, prepare it, even create a pack or whatever. But one thing that was really challenging at the time was to provide a service, to provide an application or a website where a user can interact with the device, right? So for this, you usually need a cloud server. You need to create a database for your users. You need to secure it, to protect it, to create access control list, to think about encryption and any other stuff. It's a lot of stuff for one person. It could be done. It's possible, but it's much harder comparing to what we offer. And in our case, Robonomics itself is already it's already cloud for any of your devices. And that's what we thought. So we started to produce devices our own, but anyone is welcome to try it out. And Robonomics itself provides an ecosystem where every device speaks the same language, right? This was another challenge for most of the DIY projects, that you need not only to provide an application or a way to interact with the device. If you create another device, you will face another problem that you want to merge them. You want to get data from one device to another. You need to implement this logic. It's a challenge. In case of Robonomics, every device can have its own address where you can send a launch, a unified launch command to pass some parameters for the device, or you can get telemetry from any device. If you think about security, and you can create an account, or users can create accounts for themselves and provide a public key for encryption, for data encryption, for telemetry encryption. So the first device that we produced was outdoor sensor. We call it altruist. It's basically an air quality sensor which measures particles in the air, temperature, humidity, noise level, and it could be extended by I2C protocol with some number of sensors, of additional sensors. The idea behind the sensor is it's not a professional unit that can tell you whether your environment is good or not. But if we have a few of these devices within a few blocks or within a city, then you can see the average measurements between all the sensors and tell, even if one sensor is broken or it sends wrong data, you can look at other 10 sensors and tell the truth, right? So this is why we call it altruist, because you can share this data for yourself, for everyone else, and comparing all the data, you can get the big picture. It connects, it's a ESP-based sensor. It connects to internet directly via Wi-Fi, and this sensor can operate autonomously, so you can use it locally. You can cut off the sending data to Robonomics or to any internet in clouds, and you can use it locally. Or if you want, you can forward data from the sensor to your server. Speaking about servers, it's a home server with Web3 Cloud. It's a single board computer, but with RISC-V architecture of central unit. RISC-V is the only architecture of CPU that is open source. It's open for everyone to use it, to modify it, to produce it without any loyalties. So we thought, if we have an open source cloud, open source connectivity, we have most of the devices with open source design of circuit board. It should work on something, and it should work on the open source CPU architecture as well. Thankfully, there is RISC-V architecture, so we took one of the single board computers and prepared all the necessary software to make it as the smart home server, or to make it for whatever purpose you want to use the server. And there is our toy Hikikomori, and there is a energy monitor device. Those devices, the energy monitor checks how much electricity you have, and it already and it can send data to Robonomics or to home server to track the electricity. For example, in the place where I live, electricity is really expensive, so I should keep it in mind. I check electricity regularly. Speaking about our coupons and discounts, those devices, they're already presented as the development kits in our online shop. We will stay for a Q&A session after my speech, and for those who will ask me questions, who will be engaged in the discussion, I will provide coupons for a discount up to 50%, and we will ship it to you. We can ship worldwide. So we will prepare one of our devices that you choose and ship it to you. So get engaged. We will see you in the chats. When we were thinking about where to start with the hardware, the most logical answer would be home, smart home devices, because home is the place where you would like to be not tracked, let's say. It's the most sensitive place. It's the place where you spend time alone or with your loved ones. So nobody likes when someone is looking for you, like when you don't expect it, right? So the home is where privacy matters more. And from here, let me introduce myself one more time. I'm Vadim, and I'm founder of a Pinout Limited company, which is a commercial company. It's operating on Cyprus, Europe, and we are happy to create a smart home solution for you, for your needs, with privacy in mind, with a local home server. We work with wireless IoT devices, wireless in terms of connectivity to server. So there is no need to provide additional signal wiring for every device, for every switch and every relay. You can replace your traditional, let's say, dumb devices, dumb thermostats or regular switches with smart switches connected to the server, to the local server, which could be fully local, or you can create a proxy to reach it remotely. And we will be happy to provide you instructions or advise you how to get it done, which devices would work for your case best. So this is my company, and I will be happy to answer any questions if you're in the process of creating your own smart home solution or your DIY and it's your pet project or whatever. Feel free to ask me questions about it. I will be happy to answer them. How to reach me out? There is my Telegram nickname, and below there is my email. Feel free to reach me out, and that's it I want to share with you today. So I think let's get to the Q&A session.
Thanks, Vadim. Yes, we've got a couple of questions from our audience. First one from Yevgeny. Can we get Yevgeny's question up on screen at all? I'll just read it out, and then we might we might see it appear on the screen in a second. So Yevgeny says, just curious, how anonymous are such devices? How do we make sure that the data is not exposed for any malicious use?
Okay, if I get it correctly, in terms of autonomous, it's meant there is no a server or a service provider that if we turn it off, the device will turn off or will not produce any work for you. So our devices are meant to work locally first, and then there is, if you provide the Wi-Fi access, it will send data to Proponomics network or to a server you want. But first, it's fully local. In terms of how we can check the data, again, there is a rule that if it's open source, the demo eyes can see it, the faster the bugs are coming out. It's a quote from Linus Torvalds. But in our case, I cannot just prove you by any certificates or by something from law or anything. But it's designed in open source and privacy in mind, so you can check the firmware we used on the devices. We usually don't create our own firmwares. We usually rely on ESP Home or Tasmota firmwares for the devices that are maintained and contributed by many people, and many people use those firmwares, so we rely on that experience. And Urbanomics itself is fully autonomous and distributed network, which is also open source. You can check it out as well. I hope that answered the question.
That's great. We also have a question from Alexei Koryapov. Yeah, could you please share some real usage examples of it? I think he means the Robonomics server. Can it replace the Home Assistant server?
So, real use cases of Robonomics, did I get it correctly?
I believe so, yes, yes.
Okay, if we speak about real use cases of Robonomics, as I mentioned before, I'm an engineer, and my company that provides smart home solutions. One way to see Robonomics in action is to provide an access control list who is able to enter your smart home. So we have an integration for smart homes, and it's installed on Home Assistant software as a module, as an integration that looks in the blockchain and get the list of addresses who is able to enter your home. So it creates locally users for every entry of this ACL, and you can create you can just ask guests or users to provide you a public address of the account. Then you put this account in the ACL in the Robonomics integration on the smart home part. Integration with get the list will create users for every entry, and the user will be able to create a passport for himself. Then, when the user enters your home, it will put its address and the password he or she generated and enter the home screen of the Home Assistant. So this is one example. Another example is with Altruist. We store telemetry from Altruist in the blockchain, and there is a map that checks all the entries of Altruist in the blockchain, in the Robonomics network, gets this data and shows it on the map. It's usually, it has geolocation and all the measurements. So the map takes this data and creates a map with the centers. So this is a way of like detaching the server part, the backend part from front end. Front end is you can launch it on your own sensor map, and it still gets data from the Robonomics network itself.
Okay, great. Okay, we got a few more. One from Alexei. Sorry, we've just had Alexei. One from Sergey, if I got your name correct. Why did you choose Polkadot? So talking specifically about blockchain choice now, and could your solution be expanded to other blockchains?
Great question, thank you. By the time when we started investigating other solutions, we started actually, let's say, I will start from Ethereum. So Ethereum, by the time of 2016, 2017, were really great. It was the first real blockchain that were able to provide you additional functionality other than just sending tokens back and forth. It was great. Smart contracts did some revolution in the blockchain, but it was obvious that with such slow computer, which Ethereum is, with such expensive transactions that we have in Ethereum, it's not possible to create any use story around IoT. we could do some stories about robots or big factories or something big that doesn't require a lot of transactions happening every minute or every second. And then in 2019, we saw Polkadot creating its own network, but with a shared functionality between other networks. So Polkadot presented an architecture where there is a circle in the middle, which is Polkadot Kusama, and there are many projects around it, which all of them are secured by Polkadot, but they can exchange messages between one another, and you can create your own logic in only that logic and store it in your rollup or parachain as it was before. So even now, if we look at the Ethereum, on last DevCon conference, they proposed to create a layer for merging all of those L2 solutions. Polkadot already has it. It was from the beginning by design in 2020 when it just launched. Now, after 5 years, we see that Ethereum proposing the same. Yes, you could say, there are other options, but Polkadot, from technical perspective side, Polkadot is the most advanced and operating right now network, in our opinion. That's why we chose Polkadot.
Oh, great. Am I right in saying that Polkadot, you need to is it renting like a parachain? Is that the right?
It is, yes, it is correct. That there is, I will quickly show. Yes, on that side, there is Kusama and there is Polkadot. We launched on Kusama in 2021 and on Polkadot a few years later. It's because they implemented an auctions for slots. So you can imagine parachains as an additional L2 solutions. It's not really the right way to call it, but let's keep it for simplicity. So you can imagine a few projects that implement their own logic, small logic, just a few functions. Let's say as the ergonomics, we have a few functions, and they don't think about any other stuff, how to transfer tokens, how to exchange messages, etc. And to become a part of this family, you need to acquire a slot. And for this slot, you need to win an auction. For this, you need to hold some amount of Kusama or DOT tokens to be held for your slot. And the price of how many tokens you need to in order to acquire the slot, it's determined by the people in an auction. In an auction, who proposes more wins the slot. Over time, the prices for the slot, they went down and it became much more affordable than it was at the beginning. So yes, you're right. You need to acquire a slot, computing power, in order to operate and be secured by Polkadot and in order to operate with other parachains.
Sure. Okay, we got another question from Sasha Pikiewicz. Can your devices be used in LARP, LARP, or any other sort of real-life gamification? And any examples?
I'm sorry, I didn't get NRIP. Can you repeat maybe?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with LARP. Maybe someone can.
Can I stop the
comment?
Device using LARP. What is the Leaf action role playing game? I see. I'm sorry, I cannot answer the question at the moment because I didn't understand it. Maybe please reach me in the Telegram or via email. I will get the full answer there.
Yeah. Okay. We'll perhaps maybe we can address that one offline.
So games in real life. Okay, I will try to answer the question. So we were thinking of the general answer would be yes, but how to implement it, it's up to you. We didn't provide any gamifications so far. We were thinking, speaking about altruists, for example, we were thinking about additional engagement of people to make them share the data or to make them connect more sensors in different places and locations. But at the moment, we decided not to do it and just to test our abilities to create a device itself. So at the moment, there is no such case, but it can be done.
Yeah, so I guess the focus at the moment is much more kind of personal use of these devices, right? By the sounds of things, is that fair to say? Rather than connecting them more widely on a network.
Sorry, can you repeat?
So I just wanted to kind of gauge that. So the devices that you're talking about that you're creating now are kind of, they're sort of more personal for personal use, right?
Yes, they're more for
rather than a sort of connected use, at least in this stage of things.
You're more about right. Yes, in terms of connection devices itself between each other, we provide a home server which can connect all the devices, and you can create automations or schedules or trigger one device by another on the server side.
Okay, for sure. Okay, I think we've got one more from Alexei. He says the main problem, first of all, he starts with a comment. He says the main problem is integration with sensors and controllers for smart homes. The leader is Tuya, Tuya, with its not open source protocol. Yeah. And other brands. Are your server or is your server able to work with popular brands?
Okay, Alexei. Yes, the reality is there is Tuya and there is Xiaomi / Akara and such brands. There is Sanov presented in Europe mostly, and there are many others. All of them, they share the same idea of connecting your devices to a server, which can be located somewhere, and to interact with your devices only via internet. We try to avoid such devices. That's why we mostly use ZigBee devices. They are local by design. They don't have an access to internet. Only a ZigBee hub or a central server can go online. The ZigBee devices cannot go online, so we prefer to use ZigBee devices. But if you have a device from Tuya which you really like, in most of the cases, not all of them, but in most of the cases, you can flash another software, which could be Tasmota, for example. It's unfortunately there is no Type-C on those devices. You cannot do it easily, but with some experience and with some soldering, you can attach a USB device and flash your own software. It's possible. We did hack some devices. It's fun, but you cannot do it on like daily basis. It's easy to produce an open source device from scratch.
Yeah, for sure.
But generally speaking, you still can connect to the server such devices that work only via internet. You can still provide. There are many integrations. Again, thanks to the community, there are many integrations for Tuya, for Xiaomi devices, and you can provide them your login and password, and they will work mostly the same as they would work just with your application. There are not a lot of benefits of it, except of you don't have to have a lot of applications for every other devices. So you can have only one application and control from the application all of the devices you have.
Okay, good stuff. Okay, I think we've probably run out of time for Q&A now. It looks like it might be time to select our coupon winners. Vadim, how many people can we? How many winners can we have?
There go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 people. Am I right? 5 people asked the question. I would like everyone who asked me a question to send me an email or to ping me in Telegram. I will give everyone a coupon for discount for a device.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, so you heard it, guys. Anyone that's asked a question today, please ping Vadim. Do we have your contact details on the chat, Vadim? Would you be able to just post something for everyone to use? Either perhaps an email or
can you see the screen? This is my Telegram nickname and this is my email.
Okay. There we go. Perhaps we can just guys type that into chat as well. Okay, good stuff. Thank you very much, Vadim. It was a very insightful talk today, and I personally feel that it's not going to be too long before we're going to see a lot of IoT devices around our homes, around our streets, and hopefully they're going to be integrated in a very decentralized way and not be too much in the hands of centralized controllers, shall we say. So on behalf of blockchain professionals, I'd like to thank you today. It was a great talk. I'd love to have you back on at some point for a brown bag session or another conference. To everyone listening, thanks for attending. Thanks for your questions. Please stay tuned for our next session coming up in a couple of minutes, which is Sasha Pikovic, talking about how blockchain meets AI. Thanks, everybody.